Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the backdoors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
Welcome to the GSMC SciFI Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, presented on and brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. How you guys doing? Are you well? I know I just spoke to you on Friday, but I'm back. I am back. Hopefully you enjoyed that Deadpool review. I didn't give you the spoilers that I promised to because I want you to go see it and I'd like to know your opinion. I don't want to destroy the whole movie for you. Would have been rude of me. So this is what I was doing. I wanted to get some information about basically what Marvel was doing next and just kind of wanted to get an idea on it. I found out that Thor, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, he said that if this Infinity War was outstanding to you, then you will not be ready for Avengers 4. He says Avengers 4, it's supposed to be, it's untitled right now. We're just going to call it Avengers 4. He said that's going to be next level remarkable. Next level. And basically, if you don't know what happens in Avengers 4, I'm not going to say spoiler alert because you should already saw it. Thanos officially finds all 6 Infinity Rings, all 6 of them, and destroys half of the population as promised. Done. People are just vanishing, disappearing. Spider-Man disappears. A whole bunch of random people disappear. Nick Fury, they all disappear. It's pretty good. It's kind of dramatic. It's pretty saddening. The thing is, what I found out while reading that interview with Chris Hemsworth is that I didn't know this, but they said that Infinity War it's at 1.9 billion right now. 1.9 billion. And it might hit the 2 billion mark, which when it comes to this money movie thing, maybe we don't really grasp how much this is. Like because people throw around these numbers all the time. Like even when it comes to like NBA player contracts, $100 million this, $100 million that. We hear about CEOs, Bill Gates, $1 billion, blah, blah, blah. We hear about all this money. But when they said it may hit the 2 billion mark, I didn't really know exactly what that meant because relatively, I don't know how much money movies has made. I have no idea. I don't keep track of that. So when they said it may hit the 2 billion mark, I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I kept reading the paragraph. They said, which only 3 other films have ever done. And I was like, wow, really? Only 3 other films have ever done that? Like, I mean, 2 billion is a lot of money. But can you guys guess? I mean, can you guess what the other movies are? Can you have an idea? Because the first one is Avatar at $2.7 billion. Second is Titanic at 2.1 billion. And then I would have never guessed this in a million years. Probably because I'm not a Star Wars guy, but Star Wars The Force Awakens from 2015 was $2 billion. 2 billion worldwide. I didn't know, you know what I didn't know? I knew Star Wars was a big deal like that, but I'm just not a Star Wars guy. Like, it's kind of, if you're listening to this sci-fi podcast, I'm sorry if I disrespected you by saying that I'm not a Star Wars guy. I'm just not, I didn't fall in on time. I've seen a couple of the movies. They're good. Storylines are all right, but I'm almost too far behind. I feel like to become a fan of Star Wars, it would be like trying to become a fan of Game of Thrones. That's what I think it would be like. I feel like, and I know a friend who just signed up for Game of Thrones just recently, and he really dedicated a whole 3-week maternity leave to catching up on Game of Thrones. Now he's a fan, but it's so much time. It's so much time. There's so many shows, and each one's an hour. I think Game of Thrones is like 6 different seasons, and some of the seasons nothing's really happening. It just build up to other seasons, and it's really dialogue heavy. I like dialogue. Not everyone does. And for me to sign up for Star Wars, it would just be a lot. I'd have to invest a lot of time. I'm not taking anything away from your particular Star Wars fandom. I am not taking anything away from that. I just can't sign up. But I didn't know that it made $2 billion. Apparently, Infinity War is at 1.9, and it sounds silly to say this, but it only needs what looks like $340 million more dollars. Only 340 million more, right? It only needs 300. No, I'm tripping. No, it needs 100 million. It needs 140 million to reach $2 billion. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine? Now, it's a great movie. It's a great movie, and I feel like anyone that has watched it, I think that they would agree. It's a solid movie. I'm not surprised it's made that much money, but it also made me take a look at this. It made me look at a couple of other movies on this list that I didn't know. I knew Black Panther did really well. I didn't know it did 1.3 billion, which puts it at number 9 all time. All time. Did you guys know Frozen was number 12 all time with $1.2 billion? If you ever get a chance, just check out this list. And as you guessed, not all these movies are 100% like sci-fi CGI type of movies. Like, they gotta be super entertaining. The only one that I could say is actual humans. The only close ones that are humans are Titanic and Skyfall at number 20 with 1.1 billion. That's it. Other than that, everything is imaginary, which is fine. I don't mind it at all. So Thor told us that the next Avengers movie is going to be really good. I'm excited about it. It's not till next year, 2019, May 3rd. But who's keeping track of that? I'm not gonna look too far forward to that. But this is one thing I wanted to address today. Jurassic World. So if you guys didn't know, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is the sequel of Jurassic World, is coming out at the end of June. It's the end of June, about June 21st or so. The last Jurassic World movie actually did 1.6 billion. So right now it's number 5 all time. The last Jurassic World movie to come out is number 5 all time. And the thing with I'm gonna say the Jurassic Park franchise is this. The first one came out in 93. That was a long time ago. Not gonna say how old I was then, but it was a long time ago. I was very surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm really surprised that they could still make money on this franchise. I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, we've remade a whole bunch of superhero movies. Like, I get it. We've had, I don't know, 10 different Batmans. Like 10 different Batman movies, 19 different guys playing Batman. How that works, I don't know. Don't do the math and ask me. A bunch of different Marvel movies, a whole bunch of different like Star Wars movies that I've talked about before. But those stories, the plot thickens, they tie different political views and that type of stuff, and the characters get developed, and it's just different, right? For some reason, it's different. I'm going to say the technology is different. I'm going to say the actors are different. I'm going to say parts of the storyline are different. And it's generational because we still make comic books, and people that used to read comic books take their kids to these movies. I understand. But what I don't understand is this. Also, with Marvel, I mean, you release a whole bunch of these movies, something's got to hit, right? You throw a bunch of towels to the wall, something's going to stick. And a lot of these movies are on like the top. It's a bunch of Marvel movies in the top 20. I'm not going to waste more time reading to you. But this Jurassic World thing gets me because, okay, I saw it. I saw Jurassic World. I've seen all of them. Even when I was younger, I saw all the movies. But it's the same thing, right? So in the very first Jurassic Park movie, there's like an electrical like thing or whatever. I'll say it so condescendingly. There's a power outage and the fence goes down, and then there's the T-Rex is just running loose. He's eating porta potties, and the raptors are running loose, and the raptors that have shoot the spit, they're running loose. I know those aren't raptors. Those are something else. When I say raptors with the spit, they're running loose. Newman from Seinfeld's running amok all over, and they have to escape the island. They have to escape. So then 20 years later, 22 years, 93, 2003, 2015, 22 years later, it's the same thing. Now, I want to make sure I explain this point correctly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When I get back, I'm going to tell you, I was going to say why I hate Jurassic Park, but I don't hate Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park. I'm just going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I'm so surprised that this franchise is still so successful. Be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and One Championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC SciFI podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by and presented on the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. Now, I don't hate Jurassic Park. I don't hate the Jurassic Park franchise. I just think it's interesting that dinosaurs still sell, right? Now, they did change some stuff in this one compared to like the very first one. They changed some stuff as far as the storyline goes. Other than that, it's a really dangerous park. Now, other than that, the park is dangerous. They have this thing where basically the owner, they did it pretty interestingly because they had an owner of the park who really just wanted the most incredible dinosaurs, most incredible. And they just kept genetically like increasing the power of this dinosaur. And they basically made a T-Rex that had longer arms. That's what it came down to. They made a T-Rex that had bigger arms. That's like this massive dinosaur. And so people are running loose in the park. The dinosaurs go crazy. The dinosaurs didn't go crazy. The dinosaurs turned into dinosaurs. Like the dinosaurs went dinosaur and started eating things. That's what dinosaurs do. And like it's still dinosaurs. So it gets me that still sells, right? So especially with everything that's happening. We have all this other technology and aliens and superheroes and all this other stuff to write about, like all this futuristic stuff, but dinosaurs still sell. Like they sell enough for this movie to be top 5 all time. All time. Do you know where the first one ranks? The very first one that came out in 1993 ranks at number 28. So dinosaurs were great 25 years ago. Was that 25 years ago? Is it 93? Yeah, 25 years ago when it dropped. They made $1 billion 25 years ago. That's insane. And now they make another one and it's number 5. So the one that comes out on the 21st, again, it's the same thing, right? So in the first one, I mean, I guess they're making the same thing, but in the first one, they escape. They have to talk this archaeologist into going back. He's like, I'm not going back there. They offer him a check. He goes back. And this is the same situation, right? Apparently there's some volcano coming, and with this massive volcano that's going to explode, some of the dinosaurs are like in danger. So dinosaurs may die if this volcano goes off. So they're going to go apparently save the dinosaur from dying and being killed by this volcano, which is ironic because I feel like dinosaurs always get murdered by volcanoes and like comets and things that are hot. I know they're pretty super strong reptiles, but they just can't control themselves when it comes to fire, I guess. I guess they're not invincible. So, I mean, I'm going to see it. I'd like to watch it just to bring it back to you guys and report on it and just see how I'm going to see it because the acting's good. They have Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I credit him. I do credit him because he's got that like wisecracking superhero style, and he's not a regular person. I'm gonna say an individual that could probably have a drink with. Instead of some people that are like the leads of particular movies, I'm like, that guy isn't real. He's not like that in real life. Like, for example, Tony Stark. Tony Stark on television is super cool. Robert Downey Jr. I don't know. I'm not sure. But Chris Pratt, I feel like he'd be like that in real life. And I feel like I trust him to save the world. If you have to send anyone back to an island to save people, you send Chris Pratt. I think that's who you send. Even if he was the Guardians of the Galaxy Chris Pratt, you still send him. He seems like a reliable individual. Chris Pratt seems like the type of person, or if I was like, hey, Chris, I got to be there at 5 o'clock. Can you come at 4:45? He'd say, okay. Then he'd show up at 4:30. Like, hey, I just figured I'd come a little bit earlier. He seems like that type of guy, so I trust him. So I'm going to go see Jurassic World because of Chris Pratt. I'm completely with it. And I don't have a problem with Jurassic World for the last one. I'm just saying, I'm just surprised that we're still that into dinosaurs. Because it's like, they don't even make any new dinosaurs. There's nothing new. They made, you know what, in Jurassic World, they had this really big whale dinosaur. It was like they did like a SeaWorld type of theme where they had this massive whale that basically was a dinosaur. Because, I mean, fish are really old, so the whale is kind of like I don't know. And then they also had the T-Rex they just invented that had bigger arms. So the T-Rex that didn't have T-Rex arms, which kind of takes away from the whole T-Rex thing because T-Rexes are known for having tiny arms. But they're not making any new dinosaurs. So I'm looking forward to the idea of in this one, maybe there'll be some new dinosaurs possibly like that. That'd be pretty cool. Like if there was like some type of dinosaur that could run and fly and spit tar and I don't know, pooped Skittles, something. Just if there was just something that would be great. I'd really like it. Anyway, this is what's next. I want to talk to you guys about Fear the Walking Dead. And for those of you that haven't been watching it, I just want to give you a heads up that it's gotten pretty good. It's gotten pretty good because they did this thing in the beginning of the season where they were doing the whole playing things backwards and forwards and clips from before and flashbacks and flash forwards, which sometimes when shows do that, it can get a little confusing and it can get a little boring. And sometimes they only do it in the beginning of the season to show that something happened. Then you just go on with the season. But they did this thing where, and I was actually a tad upset. I don't want to say upset about this, but side note, I watched this other show on TBS. I'm not going to get into the show, but I watched a show on TBS and they killed off this guy. Like they killed him off, and the show's only in its third season, but they killed this guy in the beginning of the first episode. I'm like, wait, what? So they killed this guy off, and I've been waiting for some shocker, like he's not dead or just something to happen. And turns out he's dead, and it's kind of bothering me. This is what happened with Nick from Fear the Walking Dead. They killed him in like episode 2. I'm like, wait, why do we kill him? I wasn't emotional about it, but I was like, why'd we do that to him? And I'm really super confused about it. However, he's still in the season because this season is primarily full of flashbacks that got us to where we're at right now. So I'm okay with it. For example, for those of you that ever watched, there's a show called Banshee that comes on Cinemax. Well, it doesn't come on Cinemax anymore because it's canceled. It's not canceled, but they did 4 seasons. They killed a woman off in the beginning. She's been on all the seasons, but they kill her off. But she's in the season because the whole thing like leads up to her death, which is interesting. That's the same thing that's happening with Nick. I mean, we see how Nick dies, but there's a whole bunch of things that happen to get us to the point where we're at right now. Basically, we're finding out what happened over the course of a year when this particular crew that we may like, with Madison and her crew, were beefing with these other guys that were trying to stall them out, which has been a great dynamic. Also, Morgan has gotten to be back to being Morgan again. He accidentally started caring. His friend John got shot, and then Morgan suddenly started caring, and this girl was going to get left behind, and Morgan was like, you have to come with us, because if you don't, then you're going to die. And the girl's like, well, why'd you save me? And he's like, well, this has to end eventually. So Morgan is back to being a regular person. Him being really standoffish and not want to be around people, it was getting kind of old. However, we're seeing him grow into the caring Morgan again, which is who he probably didn't even want to be. I feel like he wanted to remain standoffish and be the Morgan that doesn't want to be around people because when he's around people, they die. I feel like he wanted to stay in that, but eventually we had to get rid of that whole idea and turn it into something that we could deal with. Because him just being, I don't want to be around people, the whole time, it wasn't going to work out for anyone. It really was not going to work out. So hopefully you guys are watching that. I don't know if you are or not, but if you are not, I think you should sign up for it. Because I know a lot of people are standoffish about Fear the Walking Dead. They don't really like it that much just because the crew is different. But this season of all seasons is one that you should watch. Just because I'm gonna tell you why as soon as I get back. I'm gonna take a quick commercial break. I'm gonna tell you why of all seasons you should watch should be this one. If you don't watch any other season, you should watch this one. Instead of starting at the beginning, this will be one you could just kind of jump on. And I'll tell you about that as soon as I get back from paying this bill. Don't go anywhere. Do not try to watch the show now because we have like several more minutes left of this show. I won't mind you watching Fear the Walking Dead later, but just wait till this is over. I'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC SciFI Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you on and presented by the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. As promised, I didn't really promise it. I just said it. So basically, I just wanted to know if you guys weren't watching Fear the Walking Dead, why you're not watching it. But I know why you're not. Because it seems convoluted to jump from one show to the other. Now, I just want to make something clear. If of all the seasons you were going to watch it, because some people don't want to start from the beginning of something. I completely understand. Sometimes you don't want to start all the way from the beginning of something just because you don't have the time. It can be overwhelming. This happens to me all the time. For example, one of my friends recommended I watch this show on HBO called Silicon Valley. I was like, I don't want to spend a lot of time investing in a new show. If it's 6 seasons and it came on 4 years ago, I don't want to deal with it. So I started watching like season 5. They're on season 6. I just started watching. I'm like, this is okay. I know enough about this to continue. I need to go back. This Fear the Walking Dead season is like that. They've done kind of in a way, they've done what seems like a reboot, because for this season right now, for the people involved in this season, they're not talking about anything that happened last season at all. None of it. So people that have been watching this show forever, like I guess the last like 3 years, because I have, we don't even know what's going on. So it'd be a good time for you to get in if you were going to get in right now. This isn't something where you have to know what happened and how this person got here and how this person got here. You don't need to know any of that. I promise you don't need to know any of that. It's actually perfect timing because in the beginning of this episode, the beginning of this season, you actually get to see Rick talk to Morgan before he leaves that group, then comes to like this group. So if you are ever going to get in on it, this will be the time. Hope you guys do sign up because I feel like the show is pretty good. It's also really good because since you're not attached to any of the characters, you can kind of watch the show without a bias versus every time you watch Walking Dead, you're always kind of rooting for Rick and his team because that's who we've been with for the last, 7-8 years. But in this particular Fear the Walking Dead, then you're able to you can just watch it without being biased. It's pretty cool. I have a question. I don't really have a question. Actually, it is a question. There was a superpower that was voted most popular by all of superhero fans. Like they took a poll among superhero fans and they wanted to find out what was the most sought after trait of a superhero. And I don't know what the choices were, but I'm pretty sure they had all of the popular choices like flying, super fast, mind control, mind reading, invisibility, what else? Run really fast, see through walls, laser vision, fly upside down. I don't know, there's only so many superpowers, right? Like, I mean, have adamantium claws, be a spider, be super invincible. Yeah, invincibility. So I guess you'd live forever, that type of stuff. The most popular one was invisibility. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have guessed flying because that's what I would choose. I would choose flying. And the only reason why I would choose flying is because I feel like I could get a lot of stuff done. I'd fly. The only thing about flying is I feel like it'd be really hard to master at first. Like how do I explain this? Now, when they show Superman flying, at first when he's younger, it seems like it's really hard. But once he gets used to it, he's able to do it. There's going to be a little bit of getting used to flying. Now, invisibility, I feel like that'd be easy to do. The only problem is I don't think you'd be as invisible as you think that you are. It'd be really weird. Like if you're invisible and it's raining outside and you're just naked, there's going to be rain all over you. People are going to be like, what is that thing? You look like the bad guy from Terminator 2. You're just covered in what looks like chrome, but it's going to be water. You're just some naked guy walking on the street covered in water. It's going to be weird and they're going to shoot you. And even like during a windstorm, if there's wind and there's leaves and things blowing, you're going to be covered in leaves because you're still matter. You're just invisible. You don't no longer exist. It's just like you're wearing a whole bunch of tiny cameras that reflect what's on the other side of you like that. So I don't really know if being invisible is that valuable. Me personally, I would take flying. Yeah, I think I would take flying. Being super fast doesn't really work for me. I don't really want to run anywhere because I feel like if I had to run, if I was still running, I think I would still be tired, right? So it's not, the superpower isn't super fast with super recovery endurance. It's just being super fast, which I would imagine being very tired. Being invincible, just completely invincible, like Superman, that's up there though. That's up there. But the only problem is, what would I be doing in my life where I needed to be super invincible? Like, I'm not a boxer. I guess, you know what? It'd be kind of cool, right? Because you could just never get hurt playing sports. And the best ability is availability, right? So I'd like that, honestly. I think I'd like that. I don't know if it's invincible or superhuman healing ability. I'd rather be invincible like Superman, rather than be able to heal really fast like Deadpool. What do you think? Because if you're Deadpool and you're able to heal really fast, or even like Wolverine, you get shot too many times. Like if someone puts a hole in you or cut your head off, then it's a problem. Versus Superman, he's just invincible. Other than this kryptonite thing, if someone has kryptonite, I'm just not going to hang out around them. That's all. Kind of like if you know people that give you bad energy, like I guess some people call them haters or your detractors or whatever, you just don't go around them. So if someone has kryptonite, I just wouldn't go by them. So I guess I'd be invincible. If you guys would choose invisibility, that's fine. That's fine. I don't know how that values you. Even if you go pick something up, people probably have this idea like, if I'm invisible, I can go rob banks. But then you're not a superhero. You're just a thief, and no one likes a thief. And if you're carrying money, it's gonna like money just floating out of the bank. It's silly. If I could fly, I'd never have to commute. Be to the Bay Area in minutes. With that, I thank you guys for hanging out with me again on the GSMC SciFI podcast, presented by and on the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcast needs. This has been your favorite host, Ryan Holloway. Live long, prosper, watch out for potholes, and I will see you next week.